you check the children? Show a little massive
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Jaime Fuego.
Here?
I'm trying to throw you off.
I don't know what you're doing. So guys, we're here to talk about a brand new release on VOD. This is a new creature movie that just dropped. However, it is a Russian movie, so you are going to have to deal with foreign language and subtitles if you want to watch it. But it is a movie called Sputnik that I personally definitely recommend if you are a creature fan that you watch this movie. I was interested in it. I found out that it dropped because Jason Smith, none other than the Sinister Cinema Reviews himself, posted that both this and Spree dropped the same day. I opted for this movie, being a huge creature fan, and quite frankly, I wasn't disappointed.
Yeah.
I really ended up enjoying this movie. Was not a similar creature movie to most anything that we'd seen before in the creature, subgenre. So I liked what they did. They were unique. The creature was interesting looking, a bit overly CG at times, but I really quite liked this movie. Fuego, what about you?
This one had been on my little radar there for a long time, which you even said in the group. You were like, yeah, Fuego probably knows about this. This was one of those festival darlings that a lot of people were really digging, and I was anticipating. Especially IFC Midnight, they usually assemble a pretty nice crew of stuff in the North American distribution that they do, and this did not disappoint. It did have some similarities, at least to me, for like the astronaut movie that had Johnny Depp, Astronaut's Wife maybe, or Species 2, where dude is up in space and comes back down. That's way more of a sexual variety than this crazy movie, but I still dug it, especially with the specific time period that they chose to set it in, being 1983 USSR, and they land down in the righteous nation of Kazakhstan, USSR. For any of you fans of that silly film out there. But no, man, the effects were good, performances were solid, and just they spent some money on this, even if it is kind of a slightly CGI creature at times. I dug the performances and just the whole, is it parasitic or symbiotic aspect that they approach to it, and the mystery associated with it, and the fact that obviously the Russians, the Soviets at that particular time, they were looking to figure out how to weaponize this thing, and I thought that was especially interesting. So yeah, this was damn good. Me, just like you, whether it's aquatic horror or sci-fi horror, I like creatures from the places we don't understand very well. That stuff is some of my favorite, and this was entertaining. It was cool. It maybe tropey at a couple times here or there, like familiar story beats, but nonetheless, everything else really worked.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this movie attempted things that a lot of people might have attempted and would have failed at, but this one was actually quite successful at.
Agreed.
It was a unique sort of storyline as far as involving an alien creature creeping its way into our atmosphere. It was a little bit alien, it was a little bit life, it was a little bit a couple of things, you know what I mean?
Really enjoy Life, underrated.
Yeah, for sure. But the movie is interesting at the very least. As the story unfolds, I continued to be surprised, and that's a nice thing when you're watching a movie you have no expectations for. So I definitely liked how it unfolded. There was something that happens at the end which can definitely be considered a twist that didn't really resonate with me, and I don't know anyone that it really did resonate with. But we'll get to that towards the end of the review. But overall, I was really pleased with how this movie played out.
Yeah, I felt that twist was kind of secondary and not as imperative to the plot and everything. But yeah, overall impressions, as I said, man, I enjoyed this, and I did come into this with expectations. I'm trying to remember if we actually did do a trailer reaction for it or not.
No, it was on the list. But
yeah, we just never got around to it because there's so much content. But yeah, this is one, as I said, I was looking forward to, and delivered, and yeah, I don't mind this sort of subtitled stuff. And there is an audio description thing that I tried out briefly, which was where it's read in English and describing of situations. I tried it for about 5 minutes, and I was like, I'll just go back to subtitles.
I just kept it as Russian the whole time. I didn't even bother.
Story. I mean,
story
we hit on some of it already.
We did. So there's two cosmonauts in 1983, and they're on a mission in space, and they're returning back to Earth. And as they do so, they encounter something, and then suddenly the people on Earth that find them find one of the cosmonauts dead, and the other one not normal.
Mm-hmm.
And so this female scientist is brought in because she has a reputation for making, let's say, hard decisions, where others
that
wouldn't.
Need to be made.
But
Very
ones that
much
need to
of
be
that
made.
Soviet mentality at the time, or at least
Indeed.
the way we perceive them in North America and the U.S. especially.
Indeed. So she is brought to this facility where they are regularly studying and interviewing this surviving cosmonaut, and she is brought in as sort of, the psychologist that's trying to figure out what's going on inside of him. And she quickly learns that there's way more, that in fact there is a creature inside of him that is being allowed to leave every day or every night in the middle of the night for like an hour and a half, and it's getting able to leave for longer and longer each time it comes out. But it comes out, and she's trying to figure out why it's coming out and why he doesn't know about it and stuff like this. So she's trying to unravel the mystery as we are trying to unravel the mystery as the viewer. And there are higher ups within the organization that knows more than she does, but she slowly starts to figure stuff out. Eventually she's kind of brought into it, and it's an unfolding mystery that maintained my attention the entire way through.
Yeah, because we don't really get much creature action until, I'd say maybe
there's
40,
quite a bit.
Okay, there is the initial thing, which I thought was written very well, in the fact that they're singing and they're about to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere and everything, and then they see millions of roses or whatever it was, and then like they see something go past the window, and then they hear the stomping, like almost like something is trying to break
and then they
in.
see the seal slowly start to open.
It's very cool.
And then it cuts to down to Earth, and you're like, oh no!
Yeah.
But the movie is presented really well.
It is. And also the aftermath of the wreckage and what happened to the other cosmonaut and stuff, who you do see, they still have him under a form of examination later on, without spoiling stuff significantly. But yeah, man, I was still especially intrigued with the aspect of media suppression that they put forward here, and this is a Russian film, so it was them, even though without getting into stuff, there is still tension between like the US and Russia and all kinds of stuff like that. But this was Russian filmmakers admitting that in this sort of situation we would have most definitely acted like the heroes were home and safe and everything is fine, when in fact that is totally not what transpired, and they're not back in Moscow. They're under this observation or whatever, and that was some of the more intriguing stuff. And I liked the cutthroat nature of the dude who recruits our main chick.
Yep.
He was a really interestingly written character, and also just the differing kind of ethos and philosophy of the other guy, who I'm trying to remember our main character's name, and it's not Tanya. Or not,
Yeah, it was Tanya.
Yeah. She's at odds with this guy initially, and then they're trying to find some common ground. The guy who'd been working on, working with and trying to study this cosmonaut for a while. And even the cosmonaut, I didn't like him much at first, but they wrote an interesting arc for him in him becoming a little bit more just cognitive and just understanding of what's really going on, and thinking he's a hero, and then realizing, as she tells him at one point, you just went up into space in a tin can for a few weeks. How does that make you a hero? So that was what made this so much more interesting as far as compared to your typical creature feature. It had more to say about social, political, and various other things without being too heavy-handed about it. I mean, and great performances to jump into that too. I thought everybody was very convincing. And
Yep. I liked all the acting in it. There's a choice towards the end of the movie where there's like a twist that doesn't really make a lot of sense personally, but the acting, everyone acquitted themselves just fine. I don't think there was a weak actor in the bunch, to be honest with you.
Yeah, even some stuff that goes on with this particular hidden facility and convicts that are being used. I thought that's both, kind of acting and the fact that they were convincing, and also that was the interesting twist when you find out what's going on with them and with the correlation with the creature and everything, and how much more knowledgeable about the food source perhaps and what's going on. That stuff was cool, man. I was all about it. Yeah, I thought it was fun.
So getting into the effects, I thought they were well enough done. I mean, I enjoyed what we got out of it. I don't know, what about you?
Did you like the design of the creature? It was the one thing that it kind of had some splice aspects to it at times.
A little bit of splice, a little bit of alien-esque thing. I like that it evolved.
True.
Because it started out kind of slug-like, and then by the end, it was able to stand
on
up
the
to a full.
floor that you see early
Even
on.
at first, its forelimbs are just like a bat's forelimbs, and eventually it turns into a whole hand on each side. So it evolves through the whole thing. So I did like that the creature changed. It was obviously CG because there's nothing like this that exists in our world, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was interesting, and I thought the way they explored it is what was interesting to me more so than the creature itself.
How it's evolving and like it starts to
How it
hear
interacts with people, and and
also
exactly.
And that symbiotic aspect with our cosmonaut too, I thought was cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a better moment for me than the initial reveal where like limbs out of slime and everything. I was like, damn, that's impressive. I thought that was especially
And that's
cool.
early on too.
That is, yeah. It was like the first reveal of it. And I also, I mean, even if you're looking at this kind of like radar heat signature sort of thing, when you see one of those first attacks and just going right for the head, and like that was really dope, man. So, and also the fact that they were obviously at either some former military facility or current or whatever. I don't know how all of that sort of shooting would go down, but everything looked official and just very, very proper for the time and everything. I mean, once again, I think it was 140 something billion Russian, or I'm not sure or if it was euros or whatever, but nonetheless, this is a movie you can very obviously tell between effects, between shot location and where they did most of it. This wasn't low budget horror. This was something they put care and consideration visually into, even if the creature does look a little CGI, but when it's more hidden in the darkness in some of those lower lit scenarios, it's a lot more convincing than when we get it later on and it's weakened and all of that stuff. Yeah. So, but yeah, the kills were cool and I had fun with it. Maybe a little bit more gore would have been a little bit better, but aside from that, man, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the actors acquitted themselves well. The creature, while a little too CG at times, was still interesting, and the way it evolved was interesting. The way people interacted with it and why was interesting. So I dug this movie. I thought it was really well done. Again, for a low-budget Russian horror movie that's made its way over here, I think it's tremendously worth your time.
Agreed. Yeah, Sputnik, man, it was pretty awesome, and I want more horror sci-fi. It's like one of my favorite subgenres of the scarific stuff. So yes, this is definitely one worth your time.
So give it a look, you guys, and if you have watched it, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Again, the last thing I want to touch on is the end. There is a bit of a twist, which I just wanted to give a shout out again to Jason Smith from Sinister Cinema Reviews, because he actually had a take on the twist at the end, which made more sense than anything I had come up with personally. So I think that there is something to it that I had dismissed initially. That Jason had took a bit more of a critical look at than I had. So
he's a pretty sharp guy.
Shout out to him. Check out Sinister Cinema Reviews. But
I also have to say the score was really epic, man. It was operatically epic, and I mean, yes, it's another thing that gave, as opposed to having like the synthy sort of thing, it felt more so like a big budget kind of like Aliens score almost, which is obviously what this film was taking a lot of cues from. So
indeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's going to do it, you guys. Let us know what your thoughts are in those comments down below if you've seen this one. If not, are you interested to watch it? And while you're down there, click the link in the description box if you want to join our Patreon, where you can actually tell us movies to review, do commentaries for, things like that. Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird.
And gracias, I've been Jaime Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.